welcome to Cover Story. Today we have back with us one of our favorite guests, BJP leader and Rajya Sabha member Dr. Subramanian Swamy. After a very long gap, and well, since as you all know, it's very difficult to pin Dr. Swamy into narrow parameters, this is going to be a very freewheeling conversation. Right. Welcome back to Cover Story.
Thank you.
And let's begin with the most burning topic of the day, this impeachment of the Chief Justice that the Congress is planning. I can guess your views on it, but can you just explain it to us?
See, the question basically now is, they say, in a bit they are like a ping pong ball. First they got a smack from the Supreme Court asking him to recuse and all, didn't work. And then he came running to Parliament and filed this. Now they got a smack from Parliament and they got back to filing cases in the Supreme Court. The issue is, did Venkaiah, or excuse me, I know him from so long, I use the word Venkaiah, the Vice President and Chairman of the House, did he do the right thing? Well, in my opinion, he has gone the extra mile for nothing. The Rajya Sabha rules say no motion shall be given publicity before the chairman accepts it. And therefore, on that basis, it can be thrown out. So even before looking into the material, he could have thrown it out, saying that you have already given publicity, there's no question Parliament going to debate stale matters like this. But he went still into the depths. And he said that there is nothing concrete. There is no finality in anything you say. So if you go by charge, it appears so. I in fact made a list, you see, because the Parliament sends the entire thing in a bulletin like this. The first charge, it says CJI may have been involved in illegal gratification. What do you mean by may have been? Then how can you say that it is not, it is for final, it is concrete? Charge 2, the CJI was likely to fall within the scope of the investigation that was referred to there. What do you mean likely to fall? Again, third is, charge 3 is CJI appears to have antedated the letter. Appears to have. Now, how can anybody pass any judgment based on such vagueness? Charge 4 is a 33-year-old allotment of land to an advocate, and they claim this is proven misconduct. I mean, all he did was he returned it before he became Supreme Court. There was no prosecution, there was nothing. So how can you say this is proven misconduct? See? And finally, charge 5, which has already been rubbished by others, that there is a favoritism in the allocation of judges. It was not, the judges said very clearly, we need to be consulted, that's all. They didn't say that you have done favoritism and so on. Yes, you have assigned on your own free will, you have assigned cases.
But that is something that is the, I mean, that's how the Supreme Court works.
But that's not a part of the impeachment anyway. There's no misconduct here. So, what does the Venkaiah do except reject it? The section 124, article 124 of the Constitution very clearly gives him the power to accept or reject. If he is going to accept, then it has to go to a committee under the Judicial Inquiries Act of 1968. And then that committee gives, it consists of a Supreme Court judge, it consists of a Chief Justice, and it consists of a legal luminary. And that committee, if it says yes, then it goes to Parliament for discussion. But nothing of the, since he rejected it, that was the end. There was no question of it going to Parliament at all. Now he said that power he does have. They say he doesn't have a power. What is he, a post office? I never heard this. He's the chairman of the House. He's supposed to conduct the business of the House.
Fair. But a lot of people are saying, I mean, one, you are saying that there's no case, you know, they're very flimsy arguments, may have, seems to, likely to kind of arguments are being said. A lot of, Harish Salve, I heard him talk, he's saying also the timing is very suspect, coming after the Judge Loya case. Had it been some other timing, would you have said it has more merit?
No, not at all. This vagueness is enough for me to say.
There's no need.
Yeah, you can't, this Chief Justice of the Supreme Court being, charged by the Parliament of India, that would be a disaster unless you are absolutely sure. Even in the Ramaswamy case, which was there were much more serious charges, they couldn't carry it through because it was held that you haven't proved the case. So I think it's got nothing to do with the timing. And yes, what is in their mind I cannot say. But I certainly think that our reaction to it has nothing to do with the timing. Or I think anybody should think that they have done it because of that. There's nothing, no connection. They have been brewing over this because ever since they went out of power, the judiciary seems to become independent. And that is the problem. And you see that even in this two judges case. Earlier on they were saying the Chief Justice is totally with BJP. Now they're saying we didn't even consult him. And the Chief Justice is unhappy about that. What is this? I mean, they are contradictory. Everything is contradictory about them.
Some within the Congress are calling this Rahul's 272 moment. Since you are an expert on 272,
yes,
I'll ask you.
I'm a victim of that.
Well, you also part of the architect that led to it.
I know, but she destroyed it, you see. We had built it all up, and a coalition. And so that she said she alone had 272, which was rubbish. You see, and they made us all go through a interim election, a midterm election.
Do you see the same? I mean, of course.
Rahul is not, say, experienced. Number two, he's not educated. So, and there is no way he has people who can tell him, listen, this is wrong, don't do it. He'll throw them out. And most of his young advisors, they're all a bit scatterbrained. I won't name them. Some of them appear on television. They go and screech, screech, screech.
But those are not advisors. I don't think those people have access to Rahul.
No, they hang around him.
But educated, I mean, he's not got a degree, or his degrees, you're questioning it. But he's done his education in that sense. And,
what? No, this is not Maharaja's days when, in the Raj Mahal you got just the experience, the ambience. No, this is a modern world. It requires a great deal of sophistication, you see. And most societies, look at the problem Trump is having, because he doesn't have political experience. So he is blunt as he was in business, firing, hiring, that sort of thing. And he is getting hell from the media.
But, we haven't had a conversation since Rahul's so-called makeover. So I'm pretty interested because a lot of people saying that, he has to thank the Modi government for his refound confidence and all. You people are making him look good at the end of the day, because what even he says, he's puzzled. His people say he's not said anything different in Berkeley. He's not said anything what he's not been saying all along. Suddenly the people are perceiving him and seeing him better because they're upset with the Modi government.
Well, that may be true to this extent that the spokesmen are all vying with each other to show that they are, hammering him.
The BJP spokesman.
Spokesman, yes, BJP spokesman. But the fact is this: what is it that we have exposed, which has helped him? He claimed victory after the UP and other by-elections. In all these by-elections, they lost deposit. The UP2 elections, they lost the deposit. Okay.
The BJP, the Congress.
No, the Congress.
Yeah. But they won Rajasthan, they won
no, Rajasthan is the only one they won.
Madhya Pradesh.
Madhya Pradesh.
Then Guna.
Yes, Guna they won. But the issue is that can you then say there's a resurgence? Because the big states, the only thing that has happened new is the alliance between Mayawati and Akhilesh, and that shows some consolidation, but that consolidation can be undone anytime by Hindutva.
And the CBI, I'm sure.
Well, CBI, of course.
And Dr. Swamy filing a case.
No, I won't file cases against them. My targets are all national and central. But the fact is that that is not a very natural alliance. I know the deep animosity between the two. And there is definitely, on the economic front, there is a lot of hurt. Now, you see, the government is doing exactly what I've been saying they should do. GST, they are having a meeting now for GSTN to be made in a government company. I've been saying that. I've been saying that you simplify this GST itself. Now, that process also is going to start. Though economy is in a bad shape, and we could have in July a major crisis. Because some banks cannot, even after the recapitalization, may not be able to, they may have to fold up.
How major is this crisis? You're saying
The
banks?
crisis is, see, the investment in the country has not risen. I mean, I'm talking fixed investment. Some money comes from abroad, I won't take it as investment.
Okay.
Fixed investment, which means it's in concrete investment, it's gone down. Exports are now slumping. The oil prices are likely to rise for the first time. I mean, he had a very good time. We didn't make use of it for the last 4 years. And he went on increasing petrol prices. How much more can you increase now? So you're going to have a petrol price rise. And then there is a question of interest rates. Interest rates, because the cost of living index is going up. So therefore, interest rates will be raised by the present policy of the Reserve Bank. That means all the small and medium industries will start folding up. I think the Prime Minister has to take a very serious call, because we don't have a functioning finance minister just now. So the Prime Minister's office is responsible. They have to do, set up
Prime
some
Minister has his favorite, Hansmukh Adia, running the show.
Well, well, then God help the Prime Minister.
Well, he is the one who's calling most of the shots, I'm told.
I'm not so certain.
Okay.
Because I know at least 2 decisions which the Prime Minister overruled him on. GST, and he overruled him. He didn't even tell him.
That he's setting up the private
that
public.
is going to make it into, I think.
Government.
He's the one who was for it. I think he has, Hansmukh Adia has also been scarred by this Nirav Modi's biscuits, gold biscuits and things like that.
Which is what is interesting, you have now what, not even 6-8 months until the mood starts for 2019 to get your act together. So really harsh steps need to be taken. One, of course, you're saying is economy.
Our act is 2 things.
Hindutva and economy.
Hindutva and fighting corruption. And we'll have several people in jail by November. Okay. And there's already...
Who is left, I want to ask you.
Well, they're still in the stage of accused, you see. They have to go to jail in a formal, the conviction. So they already I'm seeing from the crowd, because about a year ago they were all pestering me, what is this, you promised, you will fight corruption, you haven't done anything, and so on. Now when 3 or 4 prominent people start going to jail, getting conviction, then people will be satisfied. Ram Mandir, I'm 100% certain that because of foolishness of Congress, my petitions become independent. Now I'm arguing on, being allowed to argue on the fundamental rights issue. And that's a fast track. We will definitely get Ram Mandir by the end of this year, before Diwali rather. And
so you're saying Ram Mandir judgment will come by then?
Yes, based on my petition.
Is there a link between the Ram Mandir case and Kapil Sibal filing this thing against the CGI?
I don't think so, because it could have argued that, but after the Chief Justice separated at their request, they thought they wanted my petition to be my intervention to be dismissed. So I said, you can't dismiss it because my writ petition was referred to you by another court. So you just revive it and send it to the other court, and the Chief Justice did. And that means now I have an independent petition. So even if they are able to sabotage it, I have a bench which will be independent of the present Chief Justice.
So if your bench and your case says that yes,
my fundamental rights prevail, then that's it.
So your case is that it's not a right to property, but it's a fundamental right.
No, there is a right to property, but it doesn't matter because my fundamental rights prevail over an ordinary right. Right to property is an ordinary right.
But people are also saying that now Sibal himself is saying, I will not argue the case anymore because I don't want to appear.
Rahul Gandhi has told him that.
So this could be a well thought out ploy to give himself a graceful way out. No?
So he is making a bloomer after bloomer. I think he is on a suicide course, if you ask me.
Okay, we're going to stay with this topic and come back after a short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to Cover Story. We are in conversation with Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Dr. Swamy, before the break, you were saying you actually rang a warning bell regarding the economy. You were saying banks will collapse, some stringent...
Well, no, not all. two of them, yeah.
But, well, the others are facing various corruption charges. So, I don't know, by the end of it, the whole banking sector is in danger. So, what is your solution?
Well,
apart from you being finance minister.
Yeah, that has to be a precondition. Because it requires a certain amount of, see, listen, economy is different from financial transactions. This is what problem I had with Raghuram Rajan also. In financial transactions, everything is bilateral. You buy, I buy, you sell, etc. Price is right, I buy more, that sort of thing.
Right.
Economy is a macro system, which means a general equilibrium system. Supposing I cut wages today, it will not mean that employment will increase. What will happen is that, in fact, unemployment will increase, not employment. Why? Because once you cut wages, then the purchasing power goes down.
Right.
That means the demand goes down, which means small and medium industries or those on the margin, they'll all start collapsing. And they will put workers out of jobs, and therefore unemployment will increase. So anything, same thing with inflation. You raise the rate of interest. Then what happens? The cost of capital goes up. The cost of capital goes up, then you know, the small and medium industries will fold up. So this general equilibrium, you have to be an economist. And I don't think any finance minister who didn't have a good training in economics. Manmohan Singh was a good finance minister, not a good prime minister, but a good finance minister, because he had a prime minister who backed him up.
Correct.
So he was able to do it. As prime minister, nobody backed him up, so he couldn't do anything. So if you are good, if you know economics, and you see, there were in politics there have been only 3 people with formal degrees in economics. One is Ambedkar, and then Manmohan Singh, and then, or myself, and then Manmohan Singh. Manmohan Singh came later to politics. So in the present situation, it requires a macro approach. And therefore, whatever I say, abolishing income tax, lowering interest rates, these anybody will start saying, well, how can you do this? Where are the resources coming from? They all are there. Resources are all there. It can be brought, but you need that macroeconomic sense. For that, if I am not there, it can't be done. And if somebody else has a solution, all power to his elbow, let the Prime Minister make him. But I'm not saying that make me, but I'm saying that if you want radical change, I don't think of anybody else who can do it.
Well, radical is the one word I'll associate with you, but the whole issue, what they are, I'm told that they are worried about is that if they have you inside, nobody can control you, or nobody.
Why do you want to control me?
If you're inside.
Narasimha Rao didn't have this problem. Chandrasekhar didn't have this problem. Rajiv Gandhi and I were good friends. I mean, we are politically poles apart. He had never had any problem with me. He, in fact, formed a government with us. Chandrasekhar government was formed because Rajiv Gandhi extended support, no? Otherwise, it could not have been formed. Then I had no problem with Morarji Desai.
So you are
why
a
I
team
should
player.
have problem? Only people who have problem are those who are corrupt. They may have problems, but otherwise, why should anybody have problem? If the Prime Minister were to tell me, listen, I want you to do this and not what you want to do, I would do it because I am a part of the team. And I think I am part of many organizations, and nobody has ever said that I have been a dictator, that I only must have my way. So these are all arguments trotted out by people who don't want to be in. They say he's difficult to manage, he is very controversial, he'll speak out everything. I don't speak out everything. If I speak out everything, a lot of ministers will be in trouble, I can tell you that.
You mean there's a lot you're not saying still?
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it.
So then what is the hesitancy?
I don't know. The hesitancy probably is, it's a mindset, you see, that there should be only one person and nobody else. And it's not Modi's fault. It's basically people around him who have been with him in Gujarat who keep telling him that, I think. Because otherwise I don't understand. It's not that he doesn't give me a position. He has offered me the presidentship of BRICS Bank. I said, I've just come back from Harvard. I'm not going to do it. Why should I go back abroad? Then the question of becoming governor of Maharashtra, I decided I can't be. Then something came about Jawaharlal University. I think everybody there was ready to commit suicide. So in the larger interest, I said no. So it's not that they don't want to give me a position, but the position where I'm trained to do something. Otherwise, people will say, you know, what, he became minister, he did nothing. The reputation today, I have, tomorrow I'm or day after I'm going to Bombay to address the young professional organization. All over the business community, the workers community, all of them feel that I have thought their positions through, how they can improve. So that kind of support is there today. If you took a poll, you will find me very high on the list in popularity.
But like, see, Dr. Swamy wants to abolish income tax. Now, that's something people like us, we are very happy with. But there is a view within the government also that it's too radical a move.
Why?
Maybe not.
Why is it radical?
A lot of your colleagues, except Gadkari, nobody else is really coming out.
Well, you see, because they don't know economics.
Are these statements working in your way against you? Sorry.
No, they may work. I don't mind. Don't have me if you're going to oppose my income tax abolition. I'm not going to adjust. I know solutions, what the solutions are. But what is the...
This is what maybe scary.
No, but I'm saying, therefore, if you don't want income tax to be abolished, then don't have me. I'm not going to come there and sit in the office and say, do this. I'm not going to issue fatwas. It has to be part of the cabinet. There will be a discussion. I am 100% certain that those who are opposing it are a very, very small number. And they have other problems with me, not because of my economics.
So you're saying you will not railroad a decision through, but you can convince you
have. The system doesn't allow railroading. You know.
So what are they worried about?
They shouldn't be, but they are worried about other things. That well, I mean, there are people who thought that they can control this everything that happens in the government, and boast about it to the Lutyens crowd. And I'm an exception. They don't know how to explain my position in the BJP.
It's very difficult to explain you, but I think we've gone somewhere in trying to understand you. This is a couple of last questions on the current political scenario. Now, I've been talking to a whole lot of allies and so-called this third front people. Their whole attitude is the big brother attitude of both the BJP and the Congress is something that they say that 2014 was an aberration. If Modi did not get UP, he would not have been able to form the government on his own. And it's time that India coalition governments are really the order of the day and not one party.
Well, coalition governments can only come back if the Hindus get disheartened. I'm telling you that sentiment is still very strong, which started really after this Hindu terror business. And then we found a lot of traction that most of our miseries is because the Hindus are divided. They vote on caste and religion. They managed to unite the minorities, they managed to divide the majority. So that evaporated to some extent. We went from the maximum we ever got of 21% to 31%. Plus the addition of the NDA partners, we came to 39. So we got absolute majority. We got even 31% can give you majority if there's splitting of other votes as there was in 2014. So that I do not find fracturing. And I find with all this happening in Kashmir and other places, it is actually increasing. So that, and plus if we can manage to send a few people to jail, which I'm sure.
He's back to the jail, huh?
Yeah, they have to, because that is the confidence that you come to. You see, even Asaram, whatever you may think of the judgment, but the public feels that yes, people can be sent to jail.
Yeah, Sacha Sauda, Jasaram. There is a feeling that is...
Right.
But then what happened? The Congress is claiming victory in the 2G case.
2G case is only at the lower level. Let's see what happens in the High Court. I lost my cancellation of licenses 2G case in the High Court. In fact, Deepak Mishra is the one who declined my prayer. Then I went to the Supreme Court and won. So, I mean, this is not final. And the judgment, I've read it, is a terrible judgment. And I'm sure.
Are you going to...
No, I don't need to. But we have brought a new team, and they are all clued in. And Chidambaram is also, we are in an advanced stage. You should hear some good, from my point of view, good news by sometime early next month.
Okay, final question before I let you go. Can you explain your cohesion with Prime Minister Modi? Not his advisors, not people, but him per se. I know him from 1972.
In fact, I had entered Jansang by them attracting me, saying, you write our economic program. They didn't have an economic program. So that time it was only cow Hindi and that sort of thing. But they were at least caricatured that way. So I wrote the first Swadeshi plan, giving up Soviet economic system and having market system. At that time, all around the country, I was in demand. So Modi was in Padjati Parishad. So he insisted I come and inaugurate the conference, which and it was over Vajpayee actually. So then in the emergency, he was a pracharak, so RSS assigned him to receive me whenever I came and went. So we were together quite a lot. And I was the first one in 2005, much to the dislike of the Americans, who said that if there is anybody who can be a magnetic prime minister for us in the elections, it was him. So
Not Advani.
Yeah, I didn't think Advani was in the race after that Jinnah thing. But 2009, Advani became candidate. So I was an earlier supporter. My present relations with him is very cordial. But he has people who tell him, beware of Swamy. And so I leave him alone. I do what I like. I write to him whatever I want. And very often he does what I say. When it appeals to him, he does it. Like this GSTN and so on. Many other things, including transfer of certain officers, removal of the Attorney General.
So there is a communication line with him.
Yeah, there is a communication line with him. But I don't have an overt... I don't go to his functions. I don't, except when he invites me for breakfast with some other MPs and ministers. I go to that. But otherwise, you know, he knows who I am and I know who he is.
Well, that is a very good note to end on. We know who Dr. Swamy is. And in fact, this interview has been a little bit, we've been talking about him, where he's coming from, and trying to understand him exactly where he's heading and where he's coming from. That's it for now. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.